Milo, the Labrador, had been the picture of stillness all week, a quiet presence at Bright Path Rescue Centre. I remember that Tuesday afternoon like a painting of contrasts, the sterile hush of the hospital hallway, the faint hum of fluorescent lights, and the surprising intensity in a dog's deep brown eyes. Hey, when the therapy team wheeled him down the corridor, he stopped at the crack of room 214's door, as if those painted numbers unlocked a memory buried deep in his heart. The nurse standing nearby frowned at first, chalking it up to coincidence. Coincidence. But there was something electric in the air, as if the world had paused, waiting for the next moment of wonder to unfold. Earlier that spring, Milo's life had been chaos. 3 months ago, he'd been stranded on a rooftop in Baton Rouge, the floodwaters surging inches from his pores. Rescuers found him shivering, his coat matted, and his spirit worn thin by dehydration and cold. No collar or microchip, no whimpers for a missing family, just a rough mix of fear and trust in his soulful eyes. At Bright Path, staff described him as calm and friendly, never the one to leap up in ecstatic greeting. They called him a steady, a dog you could count on to sit quietly by your side. But yet something about today felt different, and as he sat in that hallway, his eyes locked onto the door of room 214, the nurse knew she had to see what happened next. Inside that room lay 6-year-old Emily Rhodes, wrapped in gauze and grief. A car crash had robbed her of her parents and stolen her words. 5 weeks she'd been silent, unresponsive, as if her voice had drowned in sorrow. Grandma Linda read stories aloud every afternoon, her voice a soft echo against the beeping monitors. Words. But Emily never looked up. Her wide eyes stared at the ceiling, lost in a world only she understood. The nurses, accustomed to children who clung or cried, were puzzled by her stillness. Until today, when Milo stopped right outside her door and refused to budge at even the gentlest pull of his leash. "Do you want me to bring him in?" asked a second nurse, noticing the dog's unwavering gaze. Linda lifted her weary eyes and nodded, half in hope, half in fear. "Maybe she'll look at him," she whispered, her voice cracking like dry earth. The door creaked open, and Milo walked in, each step measured, his golden coat glowing under the harsh hospital lights. He didn't bark or wag his tail. He simply approached the foot of Emily's bed and rested his heavy head on the edge of her mattress. The corridor's hum faded into the background as hearts held their breath. Emily's body remained still, but her eyes flickered. First, a tremor in her lashes, then a slow turn of her head. The nurse standing behind Milo gasped, her scarf fluttering as she leaned forward. Emily's lips parted, not for tears, but to welcome an old friend she could almost remember from a dream. Milo let out a soft whimper, so gentle you might have thought he was whispering her name. He lifted a paw and placed it on the bed, as if to say, "I'm here." And then, as if waking from a long sleep, Emily's small fingers uncurled and hovered above his fur. Tears streamed down Linda's cheeks, hot and bright. "She's responding," she breathed, her voice a tremulous song of relief. For the next hour, Milo remained by Emily's side, a silent sentinel. Emily said nothing, but her gaze never wavered. She stroked the silky fur along his shoulder, her fingertips tracing patterns that spelled hope. Every so often, she would press her cheek against his side, listening to the steady thrum of his heartbeat, a promise that she was not alone. And when the nursing team returned to wheel him back, Emily gripped his collar with surprising strength, her first word slicing through the stillness. No, single syllable, but it roared louder than any cry she might have uttered. The next morning, Milo was back, and the change was electric. Emily asked if she could feed him, a tiny request that lit her face with a soft, trembling smile. When Milo licked the bit of peanut butter from her fingers, Emily giggled, a sound like chimes in a gentle breeze. She even swung her leg over the side of the bed, wobbly at first, then with growing confidence. Nurses watched in awe as she patted Milo's head and whispered, "A good boy," her voice regaining warmth and strength. It was as though a door had creaked open inside her, allowing light to flood rooms that had known only darkness. In the days that followed, something extraordinary unfolded. Milo didn't just visit Emily. He seemed to belong by her side. He followed Grandma Linda round the room, settling himself at the foot of a chair in the same way her father used to sit during Emily's checkups. One afternoon, as Linda brushed Emily's hair and sang a lullaby, she paused, eyes widening in shock. She rummaged in her purse and drew out a faded photograph. "This was Toby," she whispered, holding the picture so both could see it. A puppy with the same soft brown coat, the same gentle eyes, the same white patch on his chest. You got him on your 3rd birthday, remember? He ran away during that terrible storm last year. Emily looked at Milo, who wagged his tail as though greeting an old friend returned from exile. A shiver ran through her, a memory waking from the foam of her mind. Her small fingers reached out once more, grasping the dog's muzzle and stroking it tenderly. Toby, she murmured, her voice trembling on the edge of disbelief. And in that instant, the air itself seemed to hum with wonder, as if reality had folded back to reveal a hidden seam where miracles stitched lives together. That night, for the first time since the crash, Emily slept. No nightmares clawed at her dreams, no visions of loss awakened her in a cold sweat. Instead, she dreamed of running through fields of golden grass, Toby bounding at her side, his tail a metronome of pure joy. Joy. When dawn came, she opened her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Toby," as Milo lifted his head and licked her hands. A silent promise that some bonds are stronger than time, and that love can find us when we've lost all hope. If you believe in fate, healing, and the unseen threads that connect hearts. Then remember Milo's story. Sometimes the right friend arrives when we need them most, guided by an invisible hand toward a door we didn't know existed. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Soulpaw Stories, because more true dog miracles await, ready to remind us that magic often wears fur and wags its tail at our feet. Cool.